Hi everybody. My name is Kirsch. I'm the sheriff of Wabaunsee County, Kansas, and it's an honor to be here with you today. Shout out to Paula, my coworker, who drove all the way here to see you speak, you psycho. Very undeserved of that type of love. And to Barbara and Ray, what's up guys? How are you? I had a nice panic attack before I started today, and thankfully it's over. I'm very happy to be here. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound to save a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. Let me begin by saying something pretty clearly. I don't use PowerPoint, so that should be an applause right there. I don't rely on slides, and I don't speak to groups. I'm not addressing a crowd here, nor an audience at some conference. I'm speaking to you as individuals. Also, I'm not going to come up here and tell you I have all the answers. I don't. My wife does, but I certainly don't. And I think when I talk, and I'm going to discuss some concepts and ideas and some certain structures. Further, and you won't hear these words from any other politician, but I don't know what's best for you. That's his word of clap. Also, I don't pretend to know what's best for you. I'm just a guy, and I'm speaking to a lovely crowd, an assembly of my countrymen, and I will, right here and right now, tell you all the truth. That's what you deserve. The truth is what you'll receive, as I'm just a man. And also, I was a Marine. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. You're welcome to my service. More clapping, please. Yes, most of it was pretty cool, but the rest of it, all the not so cool parts, at least I got some cool stories out of it, which is nice. Like this one time in Afghanistan, this Afghan dude threw a rock at us. Like a rock, like we heard a story from the Bible, right? It was weird. So my interpreter went over to this giant guy, and I was like, dude, you just threw a rock at a bunch of Marines with machine guns. Like, bro, you crazy as hell, you want a job? You know? And sorry. Rule of law can have fun today, right? We're not fun. This is, I'm getting paid for this too, so you can bask in my humility with this too. But rural law enforcement isn't much different from being a Marine. But you know, try breaking up a love triangle at a local rodeo with a drunk 120-pound old in Cheyenne. Man, you will miss Afghanistan after facing your Cheyenne. Like a country boy can survive, but if you date Cheyenne, probably not, you know. But I've come to believe something about warriors. The battlefield might change, but the mission doesn't. And I've traded IEDs in combat zones for hunting pedophiles and some very scary loose emu calls. But who I am inside hasn't changed that much. I do have emu attack experience now, which is pretty cool. I tell it to my wife all the time. I'm like, hey, I survived an emu attack, and I'm like, oh, badass. And she's like, shut up, idiot. But we're still out here protecting others, trying to not die, right? And we're still relying on our teams, on our faith, on our values. And I study philosophy, the Stoics, and I rely on all of it to lead and live well. And I do this because so many people depend on us. And I refuse to let anybody down. You see, in combat, you're trained to eliminate threats. But in this line of work, what we're doing here in Wabaunsee County, we're furiously engineering the future of modern law enforcement. As I, for one, I'm obsessed with solutions. I view all people as my own, and I need to do everything I can by action and word to reduce the vast distance that occupies the space between us. As I reject the concept of us versus them, because I have the guts to see us who we are. We're all just little kids trying to figure things out. There's two things that I learned in war. One is don't go to war. And two, if you're going to go to war, win. But I finally accepted ultimately that it's the obligation of every combat veteran to do everything he or her can do to ensure that we're not making any more combat veterans. You clap there too, that's a good pass. I'm never going to tell you what to do. My objective is to make sound decisions. It's to seek first to understand and implement a different type of thinking to attain a different kind of knowledge, and then put that in a different type of effort to produce a different type of courage to better construct a safer society by giving our absolute best to a world who so desperately doesn't need any more shitty cops. Because here's the truth, we're not fighting armed enemies anymore. I'm confronting something harder. We're facing addiction, mental illness, abused kids, angry parents, broken trust, and doubt. You're all out there in healthcare facing the human condition too in its rawest and ugliest forms. And in my profession, the ugliest forms that I'm helping to forever extinguish our guns, like the thin blue wall of silence, and the good old boy culture, which both of them remain a bitter pox upon us. Now, as a leader, I'm obligated to show you my scars with great vulnerability and to encourage others as they seek hope. And the thing about hope is that no one's going to show up and give it to you. You need to dig in and then fight for it. And then in Joseph Campbell's In the Hero's Journey, there's this thing called facing the abyss. Then you have to jump headfirst into it. And you leave home like we did in war, and you face monsters, and you try to not become one yourself. And then if you make it back, no matter how hard you try, you will never, ever be the same. But if you work hard enough to get a new mission, and mine is attempting to turn trauma into wisdom. Stepping back from the world war that I left behind and bringing something good back, that was the point as I'm trying to help others. And that's a gift, that's the power of healing. So I say public safety is public health. Let me be real with you. Trauma doesn't end, and pain certainly doesn't just disappear. You never really get over anything. You can definitely get through it though. And for a lot of us, the darkest moments didn't really happen in combat. They happened back here at home when we realized that we didn't recognize ourselves anymore. That's when my real test began. Because it takes a different kind of strength to admit that you're struggling. You know, it's getting impossible for most people to ask for help. But that's the final and most important stage of the hero's journey. And I'm not a hero. All of us here are alive. And that's something I can celebrate. I can stand before my family, my community, and my God, and I can say, yes, I have been injured, and I have changed, yet I remain unbroken. Here to serve and keep the peace, because at the end of the day, no one loves peace more than those who have fought in a damn war. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound. To save a wretch like me. So I'm going to speak about what I've seen carried. I've seen a lot of war, but none of this today is really about combat. Also, it has everything to do with combat, but I'm just going to speak about what I've had to learn. Because before anything else, I'm a human being. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a Christian. That's not for you though, the whole Christian part. That's for me. I'm pushing on people. I don't like those who do. I'm not afraid of death either. I'm also not a tough guy. I try to carry myself forward with the armor of God above my heart. Now, we shall begin right here in our beating hearts. As it's necessary that you ask yourself a question. What dark thing is happening inside you that you're unwilling to confront? And also, as a leader, as a critical healthcare professional, is 18-year-old you proud of the you of right now? And be honest with yourselves and think about it, because that question determines everything. Your perception, your decisions, your behavior. Because human beings don't often act on reality. We act on our interpretation of it. It's synthesis. When that interpretation becomes distorted, systems fractured, communities fractured, nations fractured, if we allow them to. And how do you think that I know anything about this? Well, after 5 tours to Afghanistan, I thought, well, how did this whole god-awful nightmare begin exactly? 13 of my best friends are dead and gone forever. 11 were killed in combat. 2 died from suicide. 1 was my roommate, 1 was my teammate. I've been to over 20 funerals. And one day I realized that I'd become a functional alcoholic. And I wasn't drinking because of trauma. I was drinking because I hadn't confronted the traumas. I never got in trouble with work or the law. Yet for several years I drank as much as I could, and there was no one there to stop me. Several nights I had a gun in my hand, and during some of those nights, that gun was against my own head. With time, however, I persisted, and as I persisted, I determined that trauma is the universal enemy. So I state now again clearly, public health is public safety. Healing is the only path forward worth taking. And healing is the only worthy path to true healing for you and for our nation. And I've been sober now 9 years, 2 months, and 21 days. Thank you. For all your sober folks out there, good on you. Keep at it, you're worth it. All right, actually, I need to sip the water. Is that okay, everybody? Is this mine, actually? Yeah. All right, thank you for your patience, everybody. All right. So I got through that, and now I help people that are suicidal. I help people to get sober. Before that, though, I was a post-war wreck. I maintain that trauma is the universal enemy of all of us. After 3 different wars and countless crime scenes, I have observed conclusively that the sole enemy to you and I forever is trauma. Trauma is the great pain of all of us. I've done the NIPI twice with the Puyallup people in Washington State. It was a warrior return sweat ceremony where I was tested and cleansed. Mataki Eisen, all are related. And if the wage of sin is death, then the wage of trauma is sin. As unresolved trauma shows up in the same way every single time, with hypervigilance, numbing, anger, addiction, isolation, disconnection, broken homes, lost purpose, suicide. I love this quote from Maya Angelou. There is no greater agony than burying the untold story inside you. That is great trauma. The untold story inside of us all. We all ache. We deeply wish to be held and comforted. All of us wish to be so less alone. I'll raise my own hand. There's a great quote from The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler, which I think answered his secret to life, and he said, "I just want someone to hold me and tell me that everything's going to be okay." And I got another secret to life, gentlemen. Tell your wife yes, but your government no. Yeah, that's a good one. Clap and write that one down. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the leadership reality. Trauma doesn't remain personal. It spreads out. It becomes integrated. It becomes organizational. Trauma becomes our unwelcome guest, culturally and nationally. Which is why I must say this plainly again. Public safety is public health. The word health comes from the Old English, I think it was, it was Old English. I wish it was Latin. It sounds way cooler in Latin. I love when super smart speakers, which I'm not, they explain the background of the word in Latin. And my IQ's about room temperature, so you guys get me started. Yeah. Health, doctor, you can agree. Health means, as a doctor, a real one. Health means wholeness. Doctor. Soundness in these medicines can criticism in the presentation. Wholeness, soundness, being complete. It shares roots with, well, whole and even holy. They're all derived from the Germanic term, which I think refers to a state of being uninjured and integrated. And originally, health was not just about the absence of the disease. It described a condition of full alignment in body, mind, and spirit, all functioning together as one. Because to be healthy was to be whole. And when that wholeness breaks, be it physically, psychologically, or morally, both individuals and also societies begin to fracture. Not merely in our body, but in the mind, in the heart, and in the soul. Because when all of those fracture, what you see externally is just internally generated chaos. And I learned all that the hard way. And I carried things I didn't fully understand, nor did I want to. So I drank and nearly committed suicide. That's what happens when you carry something that you refuse to face. It doesn't go away. It eats you alive. Through anger, through shame, through silence. It eats you alive. And that's not some theory, that's a lived reality, not just for me, but for millions. The Lord has promised good to me. I was blind, but now I see. That brings us to something deeper. There are parts of you that even you don't want to see. And you certainly don't want others to see them. I've got them two people. I'm flawed and I'm a sinner. We all have them. You know, I'm a sinner like everybody else. Not too bad though. I'm medium, maybe medium rare-ish, right? But we're all flawed and we're all sinners. And that's why I need God. Okay? But let's get back to the good stuff, the dark parts of us all. Carl Jung called them the shadow. And Jung said, as he warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will enslave your life, and you will call it fate. And here's the rule. What you refuse to confront owns you. Because what you project is pain. Pain onto yourself first, and then pain onto others, starting with your own family. And then you'll project pain onto your team, and then onto your organization, and then the pain gets passed onto strangers. And if everyone is doing this all of the time, that sort of explains the concept of hell on earth, which we see rather constantly, and examples will come to you. And also, with enough untreated pain, we stupidly start deciding that other people are the problem. That's just not true. We do this whole blaming others thing because we need to put all this pain somewhere safe. Friedrich Nietzsche warned us that he who fights with monsters should see to it that he himself does not become a monster. Because if you abandon your moral responsibility or your moral courage or both, we become monsters. And history shows us where that moral cowardice leads. We had slavery in America. A total of 10 to 12 billion human beings were enslaved in America. 6 to 7 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust, 1933, 1945. And people still wonder how all that happened, and they should. The institution of slavery and the Holocaust share one horrific thing in common. They were legal. That's right, until 1865, it was legal in America to own people. In the Holocaust, it was legalized genocide by the Nazis. Now, another troubling fact is that law enforcement was the logistical backbone of both. Regular people like you and me are more than capable and are historically the most common usual suspects regarding the commission and nightmarish deployment of organized mass murder. In 2014, I saw genocide firsthand in Kurdistan as ISIS made good on a death warrant that they issued against the Yazidis. Arguably worse, American slavery, the Holocaust, and the ISIS genocide were all rationalized, which means something very deeply uncomfortable. Regular people like you and me can very much be part of something very horrible. And let's go deeper. We need to confront this reality. And doing that is to voluntarily step towards what is uncomfortable, uncertain, often very painful, and equally necessary. It's to reject the comforting line in favor of difficult truths. And that's no small thing. Human beings are remarkably adept at avoiding what they most need to face anyway. We love to distract ourselves, we love to rationalize, we love to construct elaborate stories about why now is not the right time to understand these painful realities. And if you truly want to understand painful realities, you'll require courage, which is often in short supply. It's often in short supply anyway, when you're weak and you're wrestling with something rather difficult. Yet whatever you avoid inevitably always becomes much larger. You don't need to solve everything all at once, it's just not possible. But you can take one step, and then another, and then another, and in doing so you transform chaos into order. I'm firmly convinced that for most people, it's far easier to believe in something than it is to understand it. And trauma interrupts that. People stop adapting, and then they start defending. And that's not strength, it's stagnation. And what is true to individuals subsequently becomes true to organizations. And that becomes true to nations if we allow it to. Now let's come home for a moment. Let's come home to Kansas. You know, driving down here yesterday through all these little footloose towns. Look at that, it's okay. Yeah. I'm dancing a lot in these little small Kansas towns, it's crazy. Little footloose towns. I was reminded how amazing this place was. Things still make sense here. Except for all of your Midwesterners' pride in KC's Pizza. It's gas station pizza, damn. These people should be ashamed of $2. Kansas is more than just a state of the union. Kansas is a reputation. That's all I like to think about Kansas. We were abolitionists before it was easy or safe. We stood and fought for something self-evident as all men are created equal. And we actually believed in that and shot those buck-toothed Confederate idiot hits in the face about it too. Yeah. Good lads. But because of all that, the world knows Kansas. The whole world knows the names of Kansans, like Dwight Eisenhower, Amelia Earhart, the great warrior leader, Chief Wabaunsee of the Potawatomi, even Dorothy Gale. They also know former Kansas Education Commissioner Randy Watson. It's funny in rehearsal. You know the name Wichita, by the way, comes from the Wichita people. It's often understood to mean people with tattoo traces. It's a quiet reminder of identity, resilience, and heritage carried with dignity across generations. And what do all those names still represent, except for Randy? They represent courage. They represent decency. They represent clarity. And they still inspire. They represent a kind of quiet strength, and the question remaining is, does that spirit still reside within us? Because I believe it does. Because health of identity isn't inherited. It's practiced, it's nurtured, it's earned. And then how's this? Everyone I know is barking for budgets all the time. How about spending more time with your family? Try it, it's free. Or be more nice to strangers. Maybe hold the door open on the elevator for 8 different women, punch 8 different buttons for 5 different floors before you're up to Wichita High. It's fun, it makes someone smile. But don't be that weird guy on the elevator. Everyone knows that guy. Don't be that guy. I love Kansas. Anyway, let me get back on track. Where was I? Okay. We are Americans. Americans. We declared independence from the British. We stood at Bunker Hill. We fought the Nazis. We put a man on the moon. We marched in Selma. This is our inheritance. It's not perfection, but like hope, it's something beautiful and worth fighting for. And we've seen what that responsibility looks like in action. I want to tell you about someone he's shamefully forgotten. I want to talk about our 20th American president, James A. Garfield. God rest his soul. President Garfield did not chase greatness. He had great courage and leadership. He had great vision. He had great moral strength. And he was willing to die what he believed in. He was born into nothing. His father was a two. During the Civil War, he heroically fought for the Union. And afterwards, he fought for something just as difficult. Integrity and power. And in August 1880, Rory he did in the great state of New York. He said, "Gentlemen, ideas outlive men. Ideas outlive all earthly things." President Garfield believed that government should be open for everyone, and he proved it. He elevated Senator Bruce, a Republican from the state of Mississippi. Senator Bruce was born into slavery. He was promoted by President Garfield as the Secretary of the Treasury. And this is important because after Senator Bruce became the Secretary of the Treasury, every single $1 to $100 bill carried the signature of a black man for the first time in American history. Think about that. Less than 20 years after the stupid South fell, every single dollar bill in America carried the signature of a man born into slavery. You think that matters? Damn right it matters. And when Garfield was struck down by an assassin's bullet months into his first year in office as president, he had another Flemish slave, Dr. Alexander Augusta, kneeling over him and tending to his wounds, desperately trying to save his life. This great nation has always will wrestle with itself. Trauma and the noble attempts to heal that trauma, that's the only story of ours that really matters. These stories matter, they will always matter. They matter now just as much as they once did. And when trauma is left unresolved, a person's health declines. The mind fragments. The heart hardens or withers and dies. The soul withdraws. And when that happens, we all fall. Public safety is public health. It's not enough to believe in just God or the Constitution. One must also obey them. So the question isn't just, what do you believe? Do you seek truth or do you seek convenience? Do you seek responsibility or do you seek avoidance? And that brings us right back, right here. To you, to us, right here and right now. Because we are where healing starts. And can you carry it? I'm talking about harsh weight. I'm talking about the great pains of obligation. History doesn't move through policy, it moves through people. As a boy, I saw Dr. King's speech. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of this nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. I was just a boy, a little kid in New York. I didn't know. I didn't understand. I didn't understand it then, not at all, but I felt it. Felt it when he said, this will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing the new meaning, my country tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. It was not about comfort. Dr. King spoke to our traumas and our conscience as a nation. Let freedom reign. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to reign, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, will be able to join hands and sing the words, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. That's what united me. Those words were burned into me when I was a boy. They burn within me now. And I'm bonded to them, as I'm bonded to service to you now as a sheriff, before that as a Marine Corps captain. Ultimately, I just want my mom to be proud of me. I want my dad to be proud of me. I want my daughter to be proud of me. I want to live up to the idea that America is still a great nation. A great nation. United for cause and common purpose. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound. Save a wretch like me. But I still carry things with me. I still don't fear death. I don't run from anything. I don't abandon my debts or responsibilities. And if enough individuals make similar decisions, families will become stronger and hold together. Organizations will become stronger and hold together. Communities will become stronger and hold together. This nation will become stronger and hold together. Not by force, but by choice. We have so many opportunities to make the wrong decision, as the hard choice is the right choice every time. Every single time, the hard choice is the right choice. And as I look at all your faces, and I know that you all go through so much in your day-to-day, which often seems mundane or routine, there is no shortage of crises that you all help to quiet, treat, give care and comfort for, and to, because it represents something that's bigger than you. I think everybody's in pain in some level. The difference between kindness and being nice is that people that are kind try to understand what the other person needs. We all have to act and be human first. Because your title doesn't carry it, your bank account doesn't carry it, what you drive, what you wear, who you know doesn't carry it. Are you kind to those who do nothing for you? That's the point. Service to others should be a verb and not a catchphrase. It's my stage. The flower remains. I wrote this letter to my parents after I got sober because the painful version of me was incapable of writing it. Mom and Dad, I'm sorry for being gone for so long. I really missed you. Dad, I knew so many heroes in the war, but you are and will always remain my only real hero. I'm so thankful to God for giving me Jesse and our daughter Sonia. I'm so thankful to be alive and so glad that the darkest days are behind me. So happy you guys don't have to worry about me anymore, or worry about me drinking. I know it's been really hard for you to see me in so much pain, but things are starting to make sense again, and it's been like that for some time now. I'm still very tired sometimes, but I'm strong again. And a lot of things inside me still hurt. Yet I can carry that pain now, as I'm no longer ashamed. I know this was hard on you all, and I'll see I'll be with my brothers again, but not yet. Not yet. I've changed so much, yet I no longer feel ugly inside. I'm just so happy to be here. So happy to be strong again and strong enough to see and hear all the people out there who might need my help. I need you both to know that the only thing that will never change is how much I love you. Moms and dads, we are all your sons and daughters, and that's something worth fighting for. So let's continue this good fight for each other, to fight like hell, for life itself. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound to save a wretch like me. God bless you all. Thank you for having me. Sorry for the waterworks, everybody.
I'd like to give us words from public health so we can break a lot of them. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We greatly appreciate it. Don't leave. We have whatever they're called, drawings. They're just going to give you stuff. But before we do that, I'm going to present Sheriff Kirsch with our thank you gift. And we are looking forward to having you here for the rest of the conference as well. Thank you so much.
Said that we would always be. Without you I feel lost at sea. Through the darkness you'd hide with me. Like the wind we'd be wild and free. You said you'd follow me anywhere. But your eyes